The Council's decision. In the dimly lit chamber of the Zilli Coalition Council, an air of tension hung heavily over the representatives gathered within. The room, carved from the rock of a long-dead moon, was an imposing oval space filled with delegates from 10 different species. Each representative bore unique features that reflected their home worlds, scales, feathers, or fur, yet all shared a common purpose: to discuss an impending military action against a fledgling human outpost. At the head of the table sat Elder Oruna, a member of the Isolan race, one of the oldest species in existence. His voice resonated with authority as he addressed the council. "You do not hurt humans," he warned, his tone grave. "One slip, and they will hunt you down. It doesn't matter where you hide or how prepared you are." His words echoed through the chamber, a stark reminder of his vast experience in galactic conflicts that spanned millennia. The murmurs that erupted across the room were filled with skepticism. Many council members dismissed Oruna's warnings as mere fear-mongering. To them, humanity was a young race that had only recently emerged onto the galactic stage. It had been just a century since humans had joined this interstellar community, a blink in time compared to their ancient civilizations. Tehran, a representative from the Ion species known for their strategic prowess, leaned forward. His blue skin shimmered under the dim lights as he spoke calmly yet assertively. "Humans are impulsive, yes, noisy and chaotic," he acknowledged, "but this fear makes no sense. We face far worse species with more advanced technology and infinitely more brutal tactics." As Terran spoke, Hadric, a hardened Urkai commander notorious across galaxies for his ruthless efficiency, sat quietly at the back of the chamber. When Terran finished speaking, Hadric's voice cut through the chatter like a blade. "You call it fear," he said with a grim smile that belied his serious demeanor. "But I call it experience." Hadric's reputation preceded him. He had fought against humans before during what was known as the Siege of Soros, a conflict that had ended in unexpected defeat for his forces, despite overwhelming advantages in numbers and firepower. "We captured one of their commanders early in that battle," he recounted, his eyes narrowing as if recalling painful memories. "We expected retaliation or perhaps negotiations for his release. Weeks passed without any contact." He paused dramatically as murmurs rippled through the council members. Curiosity mixed with skepticism painted their faces. Then suddenly, Hadric continued, "3 of our battleships were wiped out in a single night. Silent, precise attacks that left us reeling." He leaned forward slightly, emphasizing his next words. "In the end, they took back their commander without needing to say a word." The message was clear. A heavy silence fell over the council chamber as Hadric's words sank in. Even Terran's usual confidence appeared shaken by this revelation. At that moment, Avon, the council president from the salinary species known for their neutrality, lifted his long arm to address both Hadric and Terran. "General Hadric," Avon began calmly but firmly, "we recognize your concerns regarding humanity's unpredictability. However, we must weigh these against potential benefits." He gestured toward a holographic display showing strategic maps highlighting human territories and resources. "The human colony we are targeting is remote and poorly defended. Its strategic importance cannot be ignored." Hadric shook his head slowly, frustration etched across his features. "You underestimate them," he insisted vehemently. "They don't fight like us. They don't know when to give up, and most importantly, they don't forget." Renak, another member representing a fierce race known for their predatory instincts, the Raveno, burst out laughing at Hadric's warning. His crimson leathery skin glistened under the lights as he rose to dominate attention around him. "We're predators here, not them," Renak declared with arrogance dripping from every word. "Humans may be cunning, but they are just another species to conquer. We will crush them like any other." Hadric's gaze hardened at Renak's dismissive attitude toward humanity's capabilities. "Kill one human," he warned darkly, "and others will come after you." His voice was low but steady as he continued. "You think you're hunting them. With humans, you'll find yourself hunted instead." Ron lifted his hand again in an attempt to alleviate tensions within the chamber. "We understand your perspective, General Hadric," he said diplomatically but firmly. "However, we cannot make decisions based solely on fear." With resignation evident in his demeanor, Hadric returned to his seat. He knew that his warnings would likely fall on deaf ears amid greed and ambition swirling around him like hungry vultures. One by one, councilors voted on whether to proceed with an attack on the human outpost, a decision fueled by desire for resources and control over strategic trade routes, rather than caution or respect for humanity's capabilities. As expected, A majority sided with Raynak and Terran in favor of launching an assault on what they deemed an inconsequential target, located far away on the outskirts of known space. Meanwhile, light years away on that very outpost, a mere dot on a vast galactic map, Lieutenant Darius Voss sat idly at his control station surrounded by screens displaying data streams that reflected nothing but empty space. Another peaceful night ahead, Darius mumbled while sipping cold coffee from a chipped mug emblazoned with Earth's flag. A remnant from home amidst this alien expanse. "Looks like it," replied Sergeant Mira Holt, the second in command, approaching him with her own cup, steaming invitingly in hand. But Darius knew better than to trust such lulls. Experience taught him that peace often preceded storms. Just then, almost as if responding directly to Darius' thoughts, one of their monitoring displays blinked ominously to life. "Wait," Darius frowned while leaning closer to inspect statistics flashing across screens before him. "We have something here." "Pirates?" Mira asked incredulously as she peered over his shoulder at shifting data patterns. "Not sure. 6 unidentified ships approaching fast," Darius replied while fingers flew over controls trying to make sense of incoming signals. "They're moving too coordinated to be just looters," Mira noted sharply before picking up her intercom device. "Attention everyone. All hands at readiness. We have visitors on approach." As lights dimmed throughout their station, signaling combat readiness protocols kicking into gear, the crew prepared themselves for whatever lay ahead beyond those distant stars. Although defenses were weak compared to larger fleets, the humans had something up their sleeves. Sentinel-class drones capable of quick autonomous responses designed specifically for situations like these. Darius' eyes scanned radar frequencies intently while watching alien ships approach, creating an arc around their base. Each maneuver felt hurried, yet overconfident. They believed this would be easy prey. "They think they can just waltz in," Mira mumbled incredulously as she stared at screens displaying enemy trajectories. "Big mistake," Darius muttered under his breath while steeling himself for what was about to unfold next. As alien vessels drew closer, still preparing firepower aimed directly at them, Darius triggered Sentinel drones into action with rapid commands echoing through control panels nearby. The battle had begun, but more than mere survival hung in balance. It was about sending messages across galaxies, reiterating warnings Elder Oruna tried so desperately to convey earlier today. "Prepare for combat," Voss commanded firmly over speakers throughout station, while adrenaline surged through every crew member present around him, reading themselves mentally for what lay ahead. And thus began not just another skirmish, but perhaps something far greater than anyone could foresee. The human outpost. The quiet hum of machinery filled the control room of the human outpost, a stark contrast to the chaos that was about to unfold. Lieutenant Darius Voss, a seasoned officer with years of experience in interstellar operations, sat at his station, his eyes scanning the myriad of screens that displayed data streams and radar readings. The outpost, nestled on the fringes of known space, served as a vital communications hub, connecting distant colonies and facilitating trade routes. Despite its strategic importance, it was often overlooked by larger powers, an oversight that would soon prove costly. Another peaceful night ahead, Darius muttered to himself as he leaned back in his chair, taking a sip from his cold coffee. The mug, adorned with the emblem of Earth, felt familiar and comforting in his hand. He glanced at Sergeant Mira Holt, his second in command, who approached with a steaming cup of fresh coffee. "Looks like we're in for another quiet shift," she replied with a smile, handing him the new cup. "You know what they say about lulls in space, never trust them." Darius chuckled lightly but felt a familiar knot tighten in his stomach. He had learned the hard way that peace could be deceptive. Just as he was about to voice his concerns, one of the monitoring displays flickered to life, drawing both their attention. "Wait a second," Darius said, leaning forward. The screen showed an anomaly, a series of blips moving rapidly toward their position. "We have something here. 6 unidentified ships approaching fast." "Pirates?" Mira asked incredulously as she peered over his shoulder. "Not sure," Darius replied, his fingers flying over the controls as he tried to decipher the incoming signals. "They're moving too coordinated to be just looters." He activated the intercom system, his voice steady yet urgent. "Attention everyone. All hands at readiness. We have visitors on approach." The lights dimmed throughout the station as combat readiness protocols kicked into gear. Crew members sprang into action, preparing for what could potentially be an all-out assault. Darius's heart raced. He knew they were outnumbered and outgunned, but also understood that they had something the attackers did not anticipate: Sentinel-class drones, autonomous defense units designed for quick response in combat situations. As Darius monitored the radar frequencies, he observed the alien ships forming an arc around their base. Their maneuvers were strange, hurried, and overconfident. "They think this will be easy," Mira murmured, her brow furrowing as she studied the screen. "Big mistake," Darius replied grimly. "Let's show them what happens when they underestimate us." He activated the Sentinel drones with rapid commands and watched as they deployed into position. The alien ships began firing plasma rounds at the outpost, bright flashes illuminating the dark void of space. But Darius was ready. He triggered the Sentinels to intercept the incoming shots. The drones moved with precision, deflecting enemy fire and returning it in kind. The battle has begun, Darius thought to himself as adrenaline surged through him. This was more than just a fight for survival, it was a message, a declaration that humanity would not be easily subdued. "Sergeant Holt." Darius called out over the din of alarms and flashing lights. "Prepare our defensive systems. We need to hold them off until we can regroup." "Yes, sir." Mira responded immediately, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. She began issuing commands to ensure every defensive tower was operational and ready for combat. As enemy ships closed in on their position, Darius studied their trajectories carefully. "Let them come closer," he instructed calmly. "I want them to think we're unprepared." It was a risky strategy, but one that could pay off if executed correctly. The alien vessels advanced slowly but surely, their confidence palpable in every maneuver they made. They lined up for a coordinated attack, a classic tactic that had worked against many foes before them. But what they didn't realize was that they were dealing with humans who had learned from every battle fought and lost. "Now!" Darius shouted as he saw their formation take shape. With a single command, he ordered all defensive cannons to fire simultaneously. Plasma bolts erupted from their positions, lighting up space with brilliant flashes of energy as they struck true against two of the attacking ships. Explosions lit up the void as debris scattered across the battlefield, the first signs of human resilience against overwhelming odds. "Two targets down," Mira announced triumphantly over the comms, her excitement palpable even amid chaos. Darius didn't allow himself to celebrate just yet. He remained focused on the remaining enemy ships, regrouping for another assault. He knew they would adapt quickly and change tactics, now that they had tasted defeat. "They're going to try something different," he said under his breath as he watched their movements closely on the radar display. As expected, the remaining alien ships began experimenting with new tactics, spreading out and attempting to flank their defenses. Their ships were swift and agile, but lacked coordination after suffering losses so early in battle. "They're getting disorganized," Mira observed keenly while monitoring their erratic movements on her screen. "Yes," Darius agreed, adjusting targeting systems and redirecting energy to shields, while keeping an eye on every hostile move made by their attackers. "Let's see if they're quick learners." The remaining ships became increasingly desperate in their attempts to break through human defenses. They fired haphazardly while trying to find an opening, but failed to anticipate how well prepared Darius and his crew truly were. With every passing moment, Darius felt more confident. He had studied countless battle tactics and knew how to exploit weaknesses when they appeared. "They're losing control," he remarked as another enemy ship made a critical error by getting too close to one of their heavy artillery positions. With a swift command, he ordered one of their cannons to fire again, this time striking true once more as another ship shattered into fragments against the backdrop of space. "There's only one left," Mira noted excitedly as she watched their final opponent hesitate between attacking and retreating. Darius remained calm but resolute. This battle wasn't just about survival. It was about sending a message across galaxies that humanity would not be easily conquered or intimidated by those who underestimated them. As if sensing defeat looming ahead of it, the last hostile ship turned sharply and attempted an escape route back into deep space, but it wouldn't get far without consequences. "Not for long," Darius said determinedly before unleashing their long-range armaments at full capacity. The crew held its breath collectively as Voss adjusted his sights on the fleeing vessel. This time, there would be no mercy shown. With one final squeeze of the trigger came an explosion that illuminated space once more. The last ship vanished into ruins amidst cheers erupting from around him. But even amidst victory celebrations echoing through control panels nearby, Darius remained silent. Deep down inside him lay an unsettling feeling that this wasn't truly over yet, merely a prelude to something far more significant on humanity's horizon. "They will come back," he remarked quietly while surveying wreckage floating outside. Their warning echoed louder than any cheers could drown out. Next time wouldn't just involve a handful of invaders, it would be an entire fleet ready for war. Mira nodded, solemnly aware of gravity weighing down upon them. Yes, the fight had been won, but war had only just begun. The attack begins. The hum of machinery faded into the background as Lieutenant Darius Voss and his crew braced themselves for the onslaught that was about to unfold. The control room, once a hub of routine operations, transformed into a battlefield command center, where every second counted. Voss could feel the tension in the air, thick and palpable, as his crew prepared for what they knew could be a life-or-death struggle. "Status report," Darius barked, his voice cutting through the nervous chatter. The crew members snapped to attention, their expressions a mix of determination and anxiety. "Shields at full capacity," Mirholt replied, her fingers dancing over her console. "All defensive systems operational. We're ready for combat." "Good," Darius nodded, his gaze fixed on the radar display where the 6 alien ships loomed closer. "Remember, they think we're an easy target. Let's show them how wrong they are." As the enemy vessels approached, their sleek forms gliding through the darkness of space like predators stalking their prey, Darius felt a surge of adrenaline. He had trained for this moment countless times, but had never truly expected it to come to fruition. The aliens were confident, perhaps too confident. They believed their numbers would guarantee them victory against what they perceived as a mere outpost. "Prepare to engage," he commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling around him. "Target their lead ship and fire on my mark." The crew moved with precision, each member aware of their role in this high-stakes game. Darius watched as the enemy ships began to spread out, attempting to flank their position, a classic tactic that had worked against many foes before. But he had studied these tactics extensively and was determined not to fall victim to them. "Hold your fire," he instructed, watching the enemy maneuver with keen eyes. "Let them come closer." The alien ships advanced slowly but surely, their confidence evident in every movement they made. Darius knew that this was a critical moment. If they could lure the aliens into a false sense of security, it would give them the upper hand when it mattered most. As the enemy vessels drew nearer, Darius could see their weapons systems powering up, plasma cannons gleaming ominously in the dim light of space. "Now," he shouted suddenly, and the control room erupted into action. Defensive cannons whirred to life as they pivoted toward the incoming threat. A volley of plasma bolts shot forth from their positions, illuminating the darkness with brilliant flashes of energy. The first 2 enemy ships were caught off guard. Explosions erupted in a shower of debris as their hulls disintegrated under the relentless assault. "2 down," Mira exclaimed, her excitement palpable even amid the chaos. "Stay focused," Darius reminded her sharply. "We've still got 4 more to deal with." The remaining alien ships quickly regrouped, adjusting their tactics in response to the unexpected ferocity of human defenses. They began firing back with renewed vigor, plasma rounds streaking toward the outposts like deadly comets. Darius's heart raced as he watched the incoming fire on his display. "Activate Sentinel drones," he ordered without hesitation. The autonomous defense units sprang into action, darting out from their launch bays with remarkable speed. The Sentinels engaged the incoming plasma rounds with precision, intercepting them mid-flight and returning fire at the alien vessels. Darius felt a surge of pride. Humanity had invested heavily in these drones for moments like this, and now they were proving their worth. "Keep up the pressure," Darius shouted, watching as one of the alien ships began to falter under heavy fire. "Target that lead ship again. We can't let them regroup." As if sensing defeat looming ahead of it, one of the remaining enemy ships made a critical error. It veered too close to one of their heavy artillery positions. With a swift command from Darius, one of their cannons unleashed a devastating shot that struck true. Another ship shattered into fragments against the backdrop of space. 3 left, Mir announced triumphantly over the comms. But Darius remained focused. He knew better than to celebrate too soon. The remaining alien vessels began to spread out again, attempting to flank their defenses once more. But this time, they were disorganized and desperate. "They're losing control," Darius noted grimly as he calibrated targeting systems for another round of fire. "They're panicking." With every passing moment, it became increasingly clear that humanity's resolve was stronger than anticipated by these invaders. The aliens' attacks grew more erratic as they fired haphazardly while trying to find an opening, an opportunity that was quickly slipping away from them. "They're trying to disable our engines," Mira observed sharply as she monitored their movements on her screen. Darius nodded thoughtfully. "That means they intend to board us later," he replied with a faint smirk. "Let's make sure that doesn't happen." With renewed determination coursing through him, Darius ordered another volley from their defensive systems just as one of the alien ships made a crucial mistake. It ventured too close to the rear defenses, where heavy artillery lay in wait. "Now!" he shouted again as he pressed down on the trigger. A tremendous explosion lit up space as yet another ship disintegrated into floating debris. Only 2 hostile vessels remained now. "They're running away," Mira exclaimed incredulously as she watched one ship begin its retreat. "Not for long," Darius said firmly as he unleashed their long-range armaments at full capacity. He adjusted his sights carefully while watching the fleeing vessel accelerate away from them. With one final squeeze of his trigger came an explosion that illuminated space once more. The last ship vanished into ruins amidst cheers erupting from around him. But even amid victory celebrations echoing through control panels nearby, Darius remained silent. Deep down inside him lay an unsettling feeling that this wasn't truly over yet, merely a prelude to something far greater on humanity's horizon. "They will come back," he remarked quietly while surveying wreckage floating outside. Their warning echoed louder than any cheers could drown out. Next time wouldn't just involve a handful of invaders. It would be an entire fleet ready for war. Mira nodded solemnly, aware of gravity weighing down upon them. Yes, the fight had been won. But war had only just begun. Meanwhile, light years away in a council chamber carved from ancient stone on Zili Prime, the atmosphere was tense and agitated following news of humanity's unexpected resistance against what should have been an easy conquest. General Hadrick sat still among other council members, his expression grim but resigned, as reports flooded in detailing every aspect of what had transpired during that fateful skirmish at Outpost Zeta 9. "What went wrong?" Terran asked incredulously while pacing before others gathered around him, his amphibious skin glistening under dim lights reflecting unease etched across faces present there today. "They fought back harder than we anticipated," Hadrick replied coolly while observing reactions unfold around him, each member processing implications behind recent events differently based upon experiences lived throughout ages past. "We cannot allow this setback to deter us," Avon declared firmly, his sharp features betraying no hint of fear despite circumstances unfolding beyond anyone's control now. "We must regroup and strategize," Terran added quickly, his mind racing through options available before them all. But Hadrick knew deep down inside that whatever plans emerged next would require more than mere strategy. They would need strength born from unity forged amidst adversity faced together moving forward. And so began discussions among factions present there today, each vying for influence over decisions made regarding humanity's place among stars above. Aftermath of the battle. The echoes of celebration reverberated through the control room of the human outpost, but for Lieutenant Darius Voss, the victory felt hollow. He stood at the observation window, gazing out at the remnants of the alien fleet that had dared to attack them. Debris floated in the darkness of space, a stark reminder of the battle that had just unfolded. The cheers of his crew faded into a distant hum as he contemplated the implications of what had transpired. "Lieutenant, we did it!" Sergeant Mirahold exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement as she joined him at the window. "We held them off. 2 ships destroyed, 1 crippled, and the last one fled. That's a massive win for us." Darius turned to face her, forcing a smile despite the unease gnawing at him. "Yes, we did well today," he acknowledged. "But we need to remember that this was just one skirmish. They will regroup and come back stronger." Mira's expression shifted slightly as she absorbed his words. "You really think they'll return?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. "I know they will," Darius replied firmly. "They underestimated us this time, but next time they won't make the same mistake." He paused, glancing back out at the stars. "We need to prepare for that." As alarms began to quiet and the crew settled back into their routines, Darius called for a debriefing. He gathered his team in the control room, their faces still flushed with adrenaline from the battle. "Listen up," he began, his tone serious. "We've shown that we can defend ourselves against unexpected attacks, but we can't let our guard down. The Zili Coalition is powerful and relentless. They will analyze what went wrong and come back with a plan." The crew nodded in agreement, understanding the gravity of their situation. Darius continued, "We need to reinforce our defenses and improve our combat strategies. I want everyone to review our protocols and identify any weaknesses we might have missed." As discussions unfolded about upgrades and potential new technologies to enhance their capabilities, a sense of determination filled the room. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their place in the universe. Meanwhile, light years away on Zilli Prime, tension simmered within the council chamber of the Zilli Coalition. General Hadrick sat among representatives from various species, his expression a mixture of frustration and resignation as reports flooded in detailing humanity's unexpected resilience. "General Hadrick," Avon began, lifting his long arm to draw attention to himself. "Your warnings were dismissed during our last meeting, but it seems you were right about humanity's capabilities." Hadrick nodded slowly but remained silent as murmurs of disbelief rippled through the council members gathered around him. "We cannot allow this setback to deter us," Terran asserted confidently from across the table. "We must regroup and strategize for our next move against these humans." Renak, still brimming with arrogance despite their defeat, leaned forward with a sneer. "Humans are unpredictable creatures. They may have won this time, but they are still just another race to conquer. We will crush them like any other." Hadrick's gaze hardened as he listened to Renak's bravado. "You underestimate them," he warned again, his voice low but steady. "They don't fight like other races. They don't know when to give up, and most importantly, they don't forget." Avon raised an eyebrow at Renak's arrogance, but chose to focus on strategy instead. "We need intelligence on their defenses and technology," he said thoughtfully. "If we can understand how they fought back so effectively today, we can exploit their weaknesses in our next engagement." The council members exchanged glances as discussions turned toward gathering intelligence on humanity's capabilities and preparing for another assault. Back at Outpost Seated 9, Darius and his crew worked tirelessly over the following days to fortify their defenses and upgrade their technology. They analyzed every aspect of their recent battle, what had worked well, and what could be improved upon. "Let's focus on enhancing our Sentinel drones," Mira suggested during one strategy session. "If we can increase their speed and efficiency in intercepting enemy fire, it could give us an edge in future encounters." Darius nodded in agreement as he scribbled notes on a digital pad. "And we should also consider deploying additional automated turrets around key areas of our station," he added thoughtfully. As plans took shape and morale remained high among his crew, Darius couldn't shake off an unsettling feeling that lingered in the back of his mind. A sense that something larger was brewing beyond their immediate concerns. Weeks passed with heightened vigilance as they awaited any sign of renewed aggression from the Zilli Coalition. Each day brought new challenges as they fortified their outpost, while maintaining communication with Earth and other allied colonies. Then, one fateful morning, a warning signal blared through the control room, a familiar sound that sent chills down Darius' spine. "Lieutenant Voss, we have multiple ships approaching fast," Mira announced urgently as she monitored radar displays lighting up with incoming blips. Darius felt his heart race as he quickly assessed the situation before issuing orders once more. "All hands to battle stations. Prepare for combat." As alarms blared around them and crew members scrambled into action once again, Darius couldn't help but feel that this time would be different. This time they were ready. The alien ships emerged from hyperspace, more numerous than before, surrounding Outpost Zeta 9 like vultures circling a wounded prey. "Looks like they've come back with reinforcements," Mira said grimly as she studied their formation on her screen. "Yes," Darius replied through gritted teeth while focusing intently on enemy movements displayed before him. This wasn't just another skirmish. It was an all-out war waiting to unfold. With determination etched across every face present within that control room, Darius knew they would fight tooth and nail against whatever forces sought to extinguish humanity's flame among stars above. The battle commenced once more, a fierce clash between two worlds driven by ambition and survival, each side unwilling to yield or relent until only one remained standing amidst cosmic chaos. And so began yet another chapter in humanity's struggle against overwhelming odds, a fight not just for survival, but for existence itself.